What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am. And if you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. Your Spanish teacher will legitimately be this bad, alright? Actually, 100% confirmed, be this insane. I don't think I've ever talked about my Spanish teacher here on this channel. If I have before, I'm sorry, but trust me when I tell you that I think I had a teacher so legitimately insane that she should have been in an asylum. Like, my Spanish teacher was so crazy. If she would have told me that she shared a cell with Joker in Arkham Asylum, I might have believed her. Like, that's how nuts this lady was. And it's gonna be a pretty entertaining story, so yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
To celebrate. It's not good. Nice rack in her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear I'm a little drunk.
Alright, so I don't know how many of you guys like plan to go to college out of state or have certain certifications for school or whatnot, but in Nevada, if you want to go to a college out of state, most places require that you take like 2 years of a foreign language. And back when I was in high school, you know, I was a little bit of a nerd. I always thought that I was gonna like go to college and be a lawyer. The whole YouTube thing I never thought was actually gonna go anywhere because, like, I don't know, if you would have told me I would have been a famous YouTuber, I thought you were crazy. So because I wanted to go to like a good college out of state, I had to take a foreign language. And my option was either like Japanese, which, you know, seems really hard to learn. I have to learn another alphabet. I have to like actually apply myself. Or I could learn Spanish, which I didn't think was going to be easy to learn, but I knew at my school that the teachers were a joke. Like, it was a known thing in my school that if you took Spanish for 2 years, you basically didn't learn anything, but you got the credit to go to an out-of-state college. You know what I'm saying? So I knew Japanese was actually going to be difficult, and I didn't actually want to have to like learn a language, so I just decided to sign up for Spanish and coast through what should have been a pretty easy class, learn how to say a few things in Spanish, and be on my merry way. And I can firmly say, too, like 2 years of Spanish in high school later, you know, I've been out of high school for a bit, but the only thing I remember really well is Tu Madre Bailar en las Mesas. And that's only because that's just fun to say to somebody who speaks Spanish because they're like, wait, what? My mom dances on the tables, huh? Regardless, that's about all I remember. But what I do remember very well from my high school Spanish class is my absolute nut job of a teacher, dude. My teacher wasn't a nut job in the way that, like, you know, she intentionally made our lives miserable, but she really just was so absolutely insane that she would unintentionally just torture her class at any given time. So she really had to be the teacher from hell because, like, it wasn't even a teacher that you could accuse of being mean on purpose. She was just nuts. And to give you an idea of how nuts this is just the first story I'm gonna tell you, alright? So I had her for 1 year, which was my sophomore year. In Spanish 2, I had a different teacher. But over the course of 1 year with my teacher, she managed to run herself over with her own car. Not once, ladies and gentlemen, but twice. And I am not making that up when I say that. I had a teacher who was so dumb, she managed to run herself over twice with her own car. Which, I mean, whatever. First time you do it, I guess you maybe get a pass. What had happened was she had parked her car, forgot to put it on park, and then gotten out and gone behind the car to get groceries out, and it had started to roll down the driveway. So I guess first time accidents happen. But after the first time you accidentally run yourself over, come on, you gotta pay a little bit more close attention to your car being on park. But like 2 months after that, she ended up doing it again. So that's just how forgetful this lady was. She manages to run herself over twice. And she had been a teacher for a very long time. Like, she was getting up there, dude, and her memory was just starting to fade. So she would, like, print these study guides, right? And tell us to study them for the test about how this was super important. This was everything that was going to be on the test. And then she would hand us the test, and it would, like, be nothing like was on the study guide. And when we would point that out to her, she would tell us that, like, well, I never said that everything on the study guide was going to be on the test. It was that type of situation, you know? And like, you know, her favorite way to test us was to do a conversation. So you would stand up in front of the class and she would ask you questions. And once again, she would tell you the night before, like, what phrases she was gonna ask you so you could practice because we don't speak Spanish. Like, if you don't tell me what question you're gonna ask, I don't speak the language. And then halfway through the test, she would just start asking you questions that she didn't tell you to study for, you know? Like, and keep in mind, this is Spanish 1, so the questions are like, like, do you have a birthday? When is it? And out of nowhere, like after 2 questions like that, do you have a birthday? When is your birthday? She'd be like, do you understand how to solve the socioeconomic problems of Mexico? Respond in Spanish. And you'd be like, dude, I don't speak Spanish. And if you didn't answer, it was an automatic fail. Like if you didn't complete the conversation, there wasn't getting a B, there wasn't getting a C, you would just fail. So obviously that's frustrating. Most of us finally just kind of started learning just enough Spanish to like skate by just off sheer willpower and like trying to get help from each other. But the most ridiculous thing that I ever witnessed, what really made her the teacher from hell, is like after these mistakes, she would never admit that she was wrong. And the most obvious example I ever have about this is back in like the 80s and 90s in Henderson or like Las Vegas. I went to high school in both places. They used to teach German as an elective language. And since then, I don't know if it's just like not in demand or if there's not a lot of German teachers, but for whatever reason, they don't offer German anymore. Well, I guess this teacher happened to have been somebody that used to teach German. And I don't speak like fluent German by any means, but I spent a lot of time growing up with my Oma, rest in peace, and she spoke German. So I've picked up bits and phrases. My Oma would listen to German music. She would yell at me in German. I know all the German swear words because they would tell me them like when they were mad at me when I was a kid. So like I know a little bit of German, enough to recognize German. Like I can't have a full-blown conversation or write a letter in German, but I know enough to pick up bits and pieces when somebody starts speaking in German where I can be like, oh, that's not just some random European language, that's German. And there's this kid in front of the class getting quizzed in Spanish, mind you, in Spanish class. And she's asking him, when's your birthday? Do you like your birthday? Do you like burritos? Those type of shit. Sí, muy bien, bi burrito. Like stuff like that. And out of nowhere, dude, she just asks him how his day is in German. And he looks at her like absolutely flabbergasted. And this isn't one of those kids that goofs off in class and doesn't pay attention, This is one of those kids that definitely really cares about his grade. And he goes, excuse me, can you repeat it? And so she says it again, And I recognize it immediately as how is your day in German because I've heard people say how's your day in German and my grandma is German or was German, like she was born in Germany. I recognize it. So the kid looks flabbergasted and starts to get stressed out and is like, I don't think that's Spanish. And she starts accusing him of lying to her because, he doesn't know the answer to the question and he's embarrassed and she's about to just fail him for the entire test because he's trying to lie and convince her that she doesn't know how to give tests in Spanish. So I try to do the right thing, right? And be like, no, you asked him a question in German. So I raise my hand, I wait for her to acknowledge me, and I go, you did ask him a question in German, I'm just letting you know, like, he's not lying, you actually did. And she looks at me and goes, oh, and what makes you an expert on language? So I like look at her and I go, Sprechen Sie Dutch, which I mean, I don't really, and I know my pronunciation is terrible. I'm an American, but like, I understand enough German and I can say enough where I'm not absolutely clueless. So she starts accusing me of lying about knowing that she can, knowing German. Which doesn't matter, fine. Even if I'm not 100% fluent in German, you asked him a question in German, dude. I don't know what to do. So I'm arguing back and forth with her, which is my fault. You shouldn't argue with a crazy person because it's you're just not gonna win. There's no way to take a W in that situation. But I'm arguing with her being like, no, you asked a question in German because I know what you said. And she's just accusing me straight up now of my grandma not being from Germany, which I don't know how she has any way of doing that. And now she's saying that me and him are both getting a fail and I'm not even allowed to take my quiz because I want to be disrespectful and undermine her in front of the class. Keep in mind, I'm not lying to get this kid out of trouble, bro. He was kind of a know-it-all. I really did not like the kid, but I knew he cared about the class and I'm not gonna let somebody fail Spanish because they're getting asked questions in German. That's just not fair. So she's getting all mad at me because I told her that she's asking questions in German and she just fails me. She's like, that's it, you're done, you're getting an F, I'm not letting you take the quiz. And I'm like, come on, let me take the quiz. And sure enough, she walks over to her grade book and puts a big fat 0 in for my grade on this quiz, this conversation test thing that we were supposed to have. And, I finally, I'm like, all right, well, at least let him, redo the test since I rudely interrupted, I kind of do it. So the kid at least gets to retake his part of the test, but I actually got a 0 on that test for not arguing with her, just straight up telling her that she wasn't asking us Spanish questions during a Spanish test, which I mean, if there is ever a time to undermine a teacher and tell them what they're doing is wrong, that's kind of when you're supposed to do it. Imagine this in any other scenario, dude. You have a math teacher that's supposed to be teaching you trigonometry, and he hands you your test, and it's when did the Battle of the Bulge take place during the Revolutionary War? Even if you studied math as much as you can, bro, like, how are you supposed to know that? And, you know, for anybody thinking that, like, this is a story where I get back or anything, you can't win against crazy, dude. Like, you really just can't take the W against crazy. Complaining doesn't work. The school knew that there were problems with her. Like, this is how much the school was aware of how crazy she was. She would send people to the deans all the time. One time I got sent to the dean's office for something in her class. They asked me what class I came from. I said the teacher's name, and they rolled their eyes and told me to go back to class. Like, that's how her reputation was. They couldn't fire her because she was actually planning on retiring in like 2 years and was just super tenured in the school district. So there was really nothing that they could do about it. They just, like, you know, accepted the fact that most of the kids in her class were going to have to take summer school to make up for it. And just to let you know how hard this class was, I had a friend who I used to skate with, who I had that class with, who was legitimately from a Spanish-speaking country. Well, he was born in America, but, like, his parents were from a Spanish-speaking country, and he spoke Spanish at home, and he got a C in this Spanish 1 class. So, like, that's how ridiculous this class was. I ended up getting a D. I retook it in summer school. I'm not good at Spanish. I got a C in summer school. That's just the way the ball bounces sometimes. You know, mi madre bailar en las mesas. That's all I got. But the funniest part about all of this is like another funny story about Spanish class that isn't worth its own video. You know, that's all it is for the teacher. She was just crazy. I never got revenge. That's just how nuts she was. But if you want to hear a really funny story about me and speaking Spanish, you know, keep listening because this is good. So like I said, most kids in our high school, like, just took Spanish to kind of look good to colleges, you know? Like, I didn't actually speak Spanish, dude. Even after my second year of Spanish, I might have been able to, like, order food in Spanish. Maybe. I was never good at it. But for whatever reason, dude, the school thought that I was an expert. So, like, I was the debate team captain in high school. I know that's corny. You know, I was, like, the state champion in a couple debate events. Like, I was good at debate. I'm good at talking. That's why it's my job now. But for some reason, there was this new kid at our school who was, like, from Mexico. And when I say from Mexico, I mean, like, seriously, straight up, like, from Mexico, dude. Like, spent the first 12 years of his life in another country where they speak Spanish. And for whatever reason, when he transferred to our school, they, like, looked at my class record because they knew I was good at talking, saw that I took 2 years of Spanish, and I walk into school one day and get called to the dean's office, and they just, like, you know, there's this Mexican kid standing there. They're like, yeah, you're going to show him around. Like, you're responsible for showing this kid around the school. And he speaks, like, very little English. Not his fault, of course. I'm not saying, like, anything bad about the kid. He was a nice guy. He just doesn't speak English, and I don't speak a lot of Spanish. And they're like, yeah, introduce him, you know, make him friends, tell him around, answer any questions you have. And I'm like, I don't speak Spanish. And the lady in the dean's office looks at me and goes, well, you've taken 2 years of it, so you've got to know something. So I go back in the hallway with this kid, and, like, we're just looking at each other because we don't speak the same language. And he starts asking me questions in Spanish because, you know, they had told him that, like, a Spanish speaker was going to come and help him. And I look at him, and I'm just kind of, like, saying phrases in Spanish to try to tell him that I don't know a lot of Spanish. And he looks frustrated, and I'm, like, trying to let him know that I have nothing to do with this. I don't know why they picked me. But he's, like, following me to my classes, you know, just trying to get a layout for how the school works. Like, it was one of those days where he's just kind of getting a walkthrough. And for the first, like, 2 classes, I can't say anything to this guy but, like, you know, burrito, because I don't speak Spanish. And they just handed me a kid who doesn't speak English. Like, listen, I'm not trying to disrespect Spanish at all, if that's what that came off as, like, the burrito thing, but I can't have a conversation with somebody that I don't understand, dude. Like, imagine if some kid from France just, like, pulled up to your school and they saw that you had taken 2 years of French and they were just like, oh, yeah, you're fluent. Show this French kid around and he doesn't speak English. So we get to lunch, and I did have that friend that I would skate with who, like, you know, spoke Spanish at home. So finally, I'm like, just follow me. I go to the lunch table. I explain the situation, and I'm like, can you tell him what's up, you know? So they have a conversation in Spanish that, you know, I understand like a couple words of, but not really well. And basically, dude, he's like, yeah, you just thought you were a douche that was like not answering any of his questions. Cause I guess the people in the office had told him that, like, you know, the person who was coming was like a really good speaker and was going to be a great tour guide. So all day, dude, this Spanish kid just thought that I hated him and was like ignoring him and just didn't want to talk to him, was lying about not being able to speak Spanish, until my friend who spoke Spanish explained the fact that, like, nah, dude, here in America, they let kids take Spanish class who don't speak speak Spanish. It's confusing. I really don't know why they picked this kid to show you around. But yeah, that guy actually ended up being pretty cool. You know, I'm not gonna leak his name or anything, but like, he was a pretty cool dude. He ended up hanging out with us at lunch for a while, you know. We taught him some very, very good English words, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, because it's just funny. He taught me some words in Spanish, the ones that I remember other than Tu Madre Bailar en Las Mesas that I will not repeat because I feel like they'd get me demonetized. But that's the way the ball bounces, you know? You can be friends with somebody without speaking the same language, but like, I don't know how you expect me to be a tour guide from somebody that can't understand a word that I say. But yeah, for some reason my school just picked the 6'3" white guy to like give a kid straight up from Mexico a tour, and it went about as good as you would expect. That's all my stories for Spanish though. I know this was a little bit of a long video. The beginning story really had nothing to do with the little story there at the end, but I don't know, they're related enough, and that last story ain't gonna be a 10-minute video, and we get in the bag out here, so I'll just throw it at the end of this one. And yeah, on that note, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to press the like button. If you like the intro song, a link will be down below. Feel free to check it out. No pressure, though. If you really like the channel, feel free to support it by using code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout for a discount, or copping some of the OG Sub Club merch. It's pretty fresh, and it will go away when the main channel hits 2 million, so, you know, it is limited, just letting you guys know. But on that note, guys, have an absolutely incredible day. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. Follow me on Twitter at Scrubby_69, Instagram at Scrubby, and hopefully I will see you guys all tomorrow with another video. Mi madre bailar en las mesas. I don't speak any Spanish except for that. My pronunciation is terrible, but that's what happens when you're about as white as tapioca pudding. Yeah, have a good one, and subscribe if you're new and turn on notifications. Otherwise, a gremlin's gonna crawl in your closet. I'm out. Peace.